The mocking silence. The council chamber was full of voices. Dozens of alien delegates sat in their shining seats, their eyes fixed on the center where a large screen showed the image of a single human warship. The ship looked small compared to the mighty fleets that the council had gathered. One alien with golden scales laughed loudly, his voice echoing across the hall. Is this what humanity sends to defend itself? One ship? A relic? A toy? His words made the others laugh. Claws tapped against metal desks, wings fluttered, strange alien mouths opened in mocking joy. But inside the warship, silence ruled. The human captain stood on the bridge, his face calm, his crew waiting quietly. Their screens glowed with unreadable codes. The captain did not answer the council's laughter. He only watched, his eyes steady. "Why do they not speak?" whispered an alien diplomat, his long fingers curling. "Why do they not defend themselves?" Another alien replied with a smirk. "Because they know they are weak, because they have nothing to say." The laughter grew louder, but the humans did not reply. Not a single word. The ship itself looked ordinary, gray hull, scarred from old battles, cannons hidden under armored plates, engines glowing faintly. Nothing about it looked special, and that was why the aliens laughed. But deep inside the human ship, hidden chambers pulsed with energy. Strange blue light flickered across forgotten machines. Codes from the past war hummed in silence. The crew knew, but they said nothing. They waited for the captain. The captain's voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Hold your positions, let them speak, let them believe." His crew nodded, their eyes sharp, their hands steady over controls. Back in the council chamber, the laughter turned into speeches. One tall insectoid alien rose, his voice sharp like metal. "Humans should bow, humans should kneel. They have no fleets, no power, only this broken ship. Why should the galaxy respect them?" His words made the chamber roar with agreement still. The human said nothing. A young alien observer leaned close to his teacher, whispering, "Why are they silent? Why do they not even protest?" The elder replied, "Silence is the voice of the defeated, remember that." But he was wrong. On the bridge of the warship, a coded signal blinked on a small screen. It was short, only a few words. The captain read it and gave a small smile. "Message received," he said, his voice calm. His crew looked at each other, their silence heavy with meaning. An alien fleet commander watching from orbit frowned. His sensors showed something strange. The human ship's energy levels flickered for a moment, then dropped back to normal. He shook his head. "Must be a fault in their old reactor," he said, and the others laughed again. Still, the human captain said nothing. The silence began to feel heavy. It crawled into the council chamber. It made a few aliens uneasy. One of them whispered, "Why do I feel cold? Why does their silence feel so strong?" Another brushed him off. "You imagine things. They are nothing. They are weak," but the silence was not weakness, it was waiting. The human captain stood still, remembering the past, the great war that had taken Earth's fleets, the broken colonies, the burned cities. He remembered promises. He remembered patience. He remembered the oath he took when he became commander of the last great warship, and he waited. The aliens continued mocking. They spoke of dividing human worlds, of taking resources, of enslaving survivors. Their laughter was cruel, their voices sharp, their eyes full of arrogance, but the crew of the warship listened, their hands near the silent weapons, their hearts steady. They knew what their captain was waiting for. "Captain," whispered the first officer. "They push harder, they insult. Louder, do we answer?" The captain shook his head slowly. "Not yet. Let them drown in their own noise." Time passed. Laughter filled the chamber again. The screen showed the human ship drifting quietly in space, unmoving, unthreatening. The galaxy thought it was only a relic, a shadow of what once was. But in that silence, a storm waited. The human captain finally spoke, his voice calm but strong. "Crew, prepare. Do not answer their words. Answer only when the guns speak." His crew nodded, their silence now a blade, sharp and ready. In the council chamber, the aliens mocked louder than ever. their voices rising like a storm of ridicule. But under it all, the silence of one ship, one crew, one captain, felt heavier than thunder, and the galaxy did not yet know that this silence was the warning before the roar. Shadows of the past, the silence of the warship drifted through space, but inside, the crew felt the weight of history pressing against their chests. Every console, every corridor of the ship carried scars of forgotten battles. The humans had not spoken to the galaxy, but their silence had a reason, a story hidden deep inside the hull. The captain walked alone through a narrow passage, his hand brushed against old metal. The walls whispered memories, burned marks from plasma fire, scratched words carved by soldiers who never returned. He closed his eyes for a moment, remembering them. Long ago, humanity had faced a war no one in the council remembered. It was not written in their books, but humans remembered every detail. The war had almost ended humanity. Fleets destroyed, colonies lost, skies burned red, children hiding under ruins. In that war, one ship survived, a ship built not with pride but with desperation. It carried technology older than most alien empires dared to touch, forgotten codes, forbidden engines, weapons designed not to win but to make the enemy fear ever fighting again. That ship was the one now floating before the council. The ship the galaxy laughed at. Deep in the engineering core, hidden chambers glowed faint blue. Giant reactors pulsed slowly. Like a heart waiting to beat faster, the crew worked silently, repairing, upgrading, preparing. None of the aliens could imagine what lay beneath the dull metal skin of the warship. The first officer remembered his father's words. "This ship is our last promise. Keep it alive, keep it ready. One day the galaxy will mock you, and that will be the day you answer." He looked at the captain, their eyes meeting. Both knew that day had come. Above the ship, alien fleets moved in formation. Their weapons gleamed, their voices mocked through open channels. Humans should surrender their relic before it falls apart by itself. One alien captain laughed. "Perhaps we should tow it back to their dying Earth, like a broken cart." The human crew heard every word, but still they stayed silent. Suddenly the sensors flickered. One operator gasped softly. "Captain, there is movement." The alien ships were scanning the warship. Beams of light danced over the surface, probing, searching. The scanners returned confused readings. "Their hull is layered with strange alloys," an alien technician reported to his commander. "Old, but I cannot read through it fully." The commander laughed. "It is rust and scrap, nothing more." But inside the council chamber, one older alien scholar frowned, his four eyes narrowing. He leaned forward and whispered, "I have seen this pattern before, long ago, in forbidden archives. Could it be?" His voice trailed off. No one listened. Laughter drowned his warning. The human captain returned to the bridge, his voice calm but heavy. "They do not know, they do not see, but soon they will." His crew straightened, every heart steady. The ship's computers hummed softly, unlocking layers of code sealed for decades. Words appeared on screens. Protocol Iron Dawn, authorized. The crew exchanged looks. They knew once activated, there was no return. The first officer whispered, "Captain, are we ready?" The captain replied, "We have been ready for years." In orbit, alien admirals grew impatient. They hide in silence. They do not fight. They do not speak. They are cowards. One slammed his claw on the table. "End this farce." The council chamber filled. With jeers, "Let us strip the humans of their last toy. Let us break their spirit forever," the aliens shouted. Their laughter rising again, but then, the human ship sent a signal, short and simple. One code transmitted into the void. The aliens froze for a moment, trying to translate. The code was old, older than the current council itself. A code written during the Forgotten War. One alien officer's face turned pale, his voice trembling. This is not possible. This code belongs to the shadow fleets. They were myths, stories to scare cadets." But the human captain stood tall, his voice low as he spoke to his crew. "They laughed at us because they forgot. But we never forgot. We never forgave." The warship's cannons shifted quietly. Energy began to gather deep inside the core. unseen by alien eyes. The ship was no longer silent. It was preparing. Still to the galaxy, it looked like nothing had changed. The humans sat in silence, their ship drifting, the aliens mocking. But inside, shadows of the past were waking, shadows that once made the galaxy tremble, and soon, those shadows would roar again. The first thunder. The alien fleets moved like a storm across the stars, their ships shining with arrogance, their weapons glowing. They circled the lone human warship as hunters circle prey. On the council chamber screens, the alien delegates laughed louder. "Look at them, drifting like space junk," one sneered, his scaled mouth twisting into a grin. "Let us fire a warning shot. Perhaps it will shake their rust apart." The council roared with cruel laughter, but on the bridge of the human warship, silence still ruled. The captain stood with his hands behind his back, his crew waiting, the air heavy, every console humming softly, their eyes never leaving the captain. Then it happened. The first alien ship fired, a single plasma bolt, bright and blazing. It streaked across space and slammed into the human ship's shields. The entire galaxy expected the relic to crumble, but it did not. The plasma burned against the invisible wall of energy, then scattered into sparks. The human warship floated untouched, not even a scratch on its gray hull. Gasps filled the council chamber. The laughter stopped for the first time. An uneasy silence spread. The alien fleet commander growled. Their shields should not survive that. They should have collapsed. He turned to his crew. "Fire again, full volley this time." Dozens of ships unleashed fire, plasma bolts, missiles, beams of light, all converging on the lone human vessel. Space lit up like a dying star, explosions blooming around the warship, but when the light faded, the ship was still there, silent, unharmed, drifting like a predator waiting. The alien crews froze, disbelief in their eyes, and then, for the first time, the human captain gave an order, his voice calm, sharp as steel. "Activate primary cannons." The crew's hands moved swiftly, unlocking codes, switches turned, energy surged. The warship shuddered as hidden weapons rose from its armored skin, massive cannons sliding into view, glowing with raw power. Alien sensors screamed with alarms. Energy spikes never recorded before, commanders shouted in panic. "What is this? What are they powering up?" But it was already too late. The captain raised his hand, his eyes cold. Fire, and the guns thundered. A beam of pure energy tore across space, faster than light, brighter than a star. It struck an alien dreadnought head-on. The massive vessel cracked apart in a single heartbeat, fire spilling into the void, its wreckage scattering like dust. Silence fell across the galaxy. The council chamber froze, every alien delegate staring with wide eyes, their laughter now dead, fear settling into their bones. "Impossible," one whispered. "That was our strongest ship, destroyed in one shot." The human captain's face remained calm. His voice, "Low reload." The cannons glowed again, energy building, the crew steady, their silence stronger than any roar. An alien admiral screamed across the channel. "Retreat, retreat, do not face them head-on." But his words came too late. The cannons thundered again. Another alien ship exploded into fire, broken in seconds. Panic spread across the alien fleets, formations collapsing, ships colliding as they tried to escape. Their laughter turned into desperate screams back in the council chamber. The delegates shouted over one another, fear in their voices. How can this be? How did we not know? Why does their ship carry such power? An old alien scholar trembled, his voice cracking. "I told you, this is no relic. This is the shadow ship, a weapon built from wars forgotten. You laughed, and now you pay." But the humans still did not speak. Their silence now, louder than thunder, the warship moved forward, slow, steady, unstoppable. Every alien eye fixed on it, hearts pounding with dread. The first officer whispered to the captain, "They fear us now." The captain replied softly, "Not yet. Fear comes after the roar ends." The cannons charged again, the hum shaking even. The bones of the crew outside, alien ships scattered like frightened birds. But the human warship hunted them with patience, every shot precise, every explosion a message. This was not random destruction. This was controlled power. One alien commander, his voice broken, whispered across open channels, "Humanity, Was never weak, we were blind. The human captain heard it, but gave no reply. He only raised his hand once more. Fire, and the thunder answered. The roar of humanity. The battlefield burned. Broken alien ships floated as wreckage across the void. Fires glowing like dying stars. Silence hung heavy. Only the hum of the human warship's cannons filled the dark. Inside the council chamber, chaos erupted. Alien delegates shouted, their voices shaking with fear. This is madness. How can one ship destroy fleets so easily? Some demanded retreat. Others demanded immediate retaliation. But no one had answers. The human ship moved forward slowly, not chasing, not rushing. Its movements calm, deliberate like a predator walking through prey. Its gray hull scarred yet unbroken. Its cannons glowing with deadly promise. The alien fleets tried to regroup. Admirals shouting desperate orders. Form a circle, concentrate fire, overwhelm them. But fear had already broken discipline. Many ships turned to flee. Others fired wildly. On the warship's bridge, the human crew sat steady, their silence a shield. The captain's eyes were cold, his voice steady. Lock targets one by one, do not waste a single shot. The cannons roared again, a blast tearing through two enemy ships at once, their wreckage scattering like ash. Shockwaves rippling across the void. The galaxy watched in horror, live feeds showing the impossible. One ship, one human ship, standing against entire armadas, and winning. The first officer leaned closer to the captain, whispering, "They never expected this, they never knew what we carried." The captain nodded. "That is why we stayed silent. Silence hides the roar until it is ready." Alien admirals grew desperate. They unleashed their strongest weapons. Massive plasma storms, gravity torpedoes, waves of energy that had destroyed whole planets in past wars, all converging on the human ship. For a moment, space itself twisted with their firepower. Explosions brighter than suns lit the void, but when the smoke cleared, the warship remained, shields holding, engines steady, the silence unbroken. Fear spread like poison through alien ranks. Commanders screaming, "This is not possible, they cannot survive that." The captain finally spoke again, his voice low but sharp. "Show them what we survived." Deep inside the warship, the ancient core activated fully. Blue light flooding every corridor. Systems once hidden came alive. Old weapons rising from the hull. More cannons, missile pods, railguns long buried under armor. The ship was no longer just a relic. It was a beast awakening. Alien scanners went wild, alarms shrieking, readings off the charts. Their power levels are climbing beyond calculation. One panicked technician screamed, "They are not fighting with one ship, it is like an entire fleet packed into one." The warship roared, unleashing a storm of fire, volleys of energy blasts, missiles cutting through shields, railguns firing. At impossible speed, alien ships shattered in seconds. Their admirals left speechless. The council chamber turned into silence. The same silence they had mocked now returned to crush them. Delegates trembling, their eyes wide. One old alien whispered, "This is not war. This is judgment." Back on the bridge, the first officer whispered, "Captain, they break. They scatter. Do we pursue?" The captain shook his head slowly. "We do not chase cowards. We send a message." The warship stopped firing for a moment, drifting forward slowly through the field of wreckage, every alien eye locked on it, every heart pounding. The captain stood tall, his voice echoing across the ship. "They thought laughter could break us, but laughter has no power against fire. They mocked our silence. Now they will hear the roar." With a single gesture, he gave the command. The cannons thundered all at once, every weapon firing together, the roar shaking even the void itself. Alien fleets collapsed, entire squadrons erased in seconds, shockwaves crashing against fleeing ships. Panic ruled the stars, admirals begging for retreat, soldiers abandoning positions, commanders silenced by fear. The roar of humanity had arrived, and the galaxy could no longer pretend, and in the council chamber, the laughter of the past died forever, replaced by a silence heavier than war. When laughter dies, the galaxy was burning, wreckage of fleets drifted like broken bones across the void. Smoke and fire hung heavy in space. Alien voices that once shouted with arrogance now whispered in fear. The council chamber, once full of laughter, sat in silence. Alien leaders pale and trembling, their voices gone, their claws, wings, and tendrils shaking. The screen still showed the lone human ship, calm, steady, surrounded by ruins it had created. The human captain stood tall, on the bridge, his crew silent, their eyes sharp. They had not cheered, they had not smiled, they carried no joy in destruction. Their silence was heavier than victory. The first officer finally spoke, his voice low. "Captain, the enemy flees, the council is broken, do we finish them?" The captain's eyes stayed on the wreckage, his voice calm. "No, we are not here for revenge, we are here for respect." The crew nodded, their silence agreeing on the council floor. One alien delegate finally dared to speak. His voice cracked with fear. How did we not know? How did humans build such a monster?" Another whispered. "We laughed at them. We called them weak. And now our fleets are gone." An elder alien shook his head slowly, his voice trembling. "We forgot." But they did not. Humans remember their wars, their losses, their promises, and now they remind us. The captain ordered a single transmission, his voice steady. "Open channel to the council." The screen in the chamber flickered and the human captain appeared, his face calm, unreadable, his eyes cold but not cruel. For a long moment he said nothing, letting the silence press against every alien heart. Then he spoke, his voice low. "But carrying power, we asked for respect, you gave us laughter," he said. "We asked for peace, you gave us insults." His eyes narrowed. "Now you have seen what silence hides, what patience holds, what one ship can do when mocked." Aliens shifted uneasily, no one dared to interrupt. The captain's voice grew heavier. "This is not our full strength, this is not our last ship, this is only a reminder." Gasps spread across the chamber. Some aliens whispered, "Not their last ship." Could there be more? Fear crawled, like fire through their ranks. The captain leaned forward, his voice sharp. "You thought humanity was broken, but humanity was waiting for the day you forgot your fear." The council chamber filled with dread. No one laughed now. No one mocked. The silence was crushing. The captain finished with words that echoed across the stars. "Remember this silence because next time it will not end in warning." The transmission cut, leaving the chamber in stunned quiet. Back on the bridge, the warship's engines flared. It turned slowly, leaving behind the wreckage of fleets. Drifting back toward the black void of space, the crew sat steady. No celebration, no cheers, only the calm silence of duty. They had done what was needed. Nothing more, nothing less. The first officer whispered, "Captain, the galaxy will never laugh again." The captain replied softly, "Good, because laughter without respect is only noise." The warship drifted into darkness, its cannons cooling, its silence returning. But the galaxy would never forget, because in that silence they had heard the roar of humanity, and the laughter of the galaxy had died forever.